This video is about Xiaomi's new electric car, but let's just start briefly for a minute and just take a second to talk about their phones because it is relevant. This is particularly interesting to me because I've used their phones for years, their smartphones, and when Xiaomi launched its first smartphone in 2011, I think it was 2011, don't quote me, it became really well known for its sales approach, kind of a bit like Apple, offering the product directly to consumers at nearly the cost price. So they just take a bit of a cut on that, and that's how they kept them cheap. And then they wanted that to be a little bit bigger as time's gone on. That little bit of profit, they're starting to get greedy, but still really, really good. So that sort of bypasses traditional resellers. I remember a handful of years ago when I had an iPhone, and I actually saw just what you got for your money when you buy a Xiaomi phone, and compare that to an iPhone, and it was basically a way better phone for than an iPhone for probably 40% of the cost, and I am not kidding. It was fantastic, and I still stand by that these days. These are really amazing phones, and so I really hope, because I've used quite a lot of Xiaomi stuff, vacuum cleaners and phones and cameras and stuff. I really hope their car is actually something pretty decent, because they're obviously going to do good at the tech in it. That's a given. They could just click their fingers and do that. But the car itself and the quality of the bearings and the brakes and all the little things, are they going to do good at that? That is what I'm super excited to see. So what we can expect from their new Xiaomi EV, the SU7, which is marginally longer than a Porsche Taycan, so it's fairly big, really, probably BYD Seal size, kind of. It features two powertrain options: the rear-wheel drive version with a single motor, which has 295 horsepower, and then a dual-motor all-wheel drive version, which offers 664 horsepower, which is actually two motors, 295 at the front horsepower, 369 at the back horsepower. So that there are two battery configurations available too, so you're able to pick however you want to configure this, so you're actually able to do that. 73.6 kilowatt hour version and a 101 kilowatt hour version, which offers an EPA range of 490 kilometers and 520 kilometers respectively, which does sound a bit odd, doesn't it? But that's what they've said. This is really interesting. The 73.6 kilowatt hour battery is an LFP battery from BYD, supports 400 volt charging, and the larger 101 kilowatt hour battery uses a non-BYD ternary NMC chemistry from CATL and is designed for 800 volt charging systems, so you'll get quite a bit quicker speed probably, which I don't know the number for speed of the speed of charging. So the NMC chemistry is one of the more dense chemistries, so that's kind of why I think people like to use it, but a bit less desirable, particularly to me, and because it isn't as good in terms of longevity, and it contains cobalt, which means that when cobalt burns, if it ever was in a fire, which is highly unlikely, 20 times less likely than a petrol or diesel, but if it ever was, the fire can be quite a bit more ferocious, because cobalt, when it burns, produces its own oxygen, and the fires are kind of intense. So it's not as preferred as LFP chemistry, for example. That's basically why Tesla and other companies now are just sort of desperately trying to use LFP chemistry, and basically all of the batteries that you can get for, not all of them, but most of the house batteries that you can get for house storage, because they're something to do with your house and bolted near or on or around your house, they are LFP chemistry, because it's just way safer. It's just the result of a lot of work, the LFP chemistry. So I've converted the CLTC range to EPA range, so it's much more realistic. The EPA range is about 35% lower than CLTC, but the CLTC from China is very lofty, and it's hard to think of a reason why I'd want to just give those numbers out, because what is the point if they're just really, really lofty? So you have to take these numbers with a pinch of salt, because they're a converted version of something that's already quite lofty. So we don't really know, but it is fairly, sleek looking and aerodynamic with a good sized battery. So probably it's not too bad because the battery sizes are quite good. Specifications for the SU7 batteries include the 73.6 kilowatt hour battery, which weighs 579 kilograms. That's the battery alone. Energy density is 127 watt hours per kilogram, and that's the one from BYD. The range of this one is, depending on the motor setup you pick, is about 490 kilometers, they say, which may be a little bit high, but if you drive really slow, you might get it. The 101 battery, kilowatt hour battery, weighs 645.8 kilos and has an energy density of 156 watt hour per kilogram. So the EPA range for this is 520 to 530, but I've just put 520 in my notes. You can see definitely the energy density in NMC chemistry is noticeably different, 127 versus like 150. It is something, and I think that's the issue with lithium ion and sodium ion batteries, for example. I think the main consideration is the energy density is not as good in sodium ion, but it's cheaper and easier to make. So that's kind of why people are thinking, well, it's probably a good idea to use sodium ion and make the cars a bit cheaper. I think that's kind of what is going on. I'm seeing that a lot in the comments. So these details, although not officially released by Xiaomi, were made public by the Ministry of Industry. I was almost going to say injustice there. Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, or MIIT, abbreviated, as part of the company's application for market homologation for its first electric vehicle. And the Chinese outlet, which I won't say, that leaked these pictures of the SU7 faces a $420,000 fine for breaching a non-disclosure agreement because they literally took pictures of the car and sent them. So they are going to pay a fine, most likely. It's possible that the launch of the car will be on the 28th of December, but Xiaomi have confirmed that it's only one of the options for dates to release it. So I think either way, it looks great. And I'm keen to see, well, kind of great, and I'm keen to see one in person. I'm not sure if it's a global release or just China. I actually don't know that, and I don't think anyone knows that other than Xiaomi themselves. But it's definitely a nice looking car, and I think it would sell well in this sort of time where we've got the BYD Seagull, the Model 3. Xiaomi, I know for a fact Xiaomi do make good electrical products. I've taken them apart and looked at them. And, I think I've got a video on that from the earlier days of my YouTube channel where I took apart electric stuff. And they are very good. It's very, very well-made stuff. They know what they're doing, unless they build something that looks like an anomaly and it's a bit crappy. But generally, they're very good. They don't make dodgy products. So the expectation for the pricing is that it will be around 26,000 euros, but some people are thinking even higher when it actually does come to launch, at 30,000 euros. I'm not sure what you all think of that, but I feel as though it looks a bit dated, or a bit weird, a bit like a modern Jaguar or something. Am I right in saying this? I don't know. Let me know what you think, if it looks a bit dated or not, because it looks a bit like they got someone who's a bit old from 2004 to design a supercar. And I'll count the comments in this video and mention in the next video. So if you just simply put, it looks dated, doesn't look dated, I'll count those. So thank you for watching to the end, and I'm Ben Alexander, for those of you that are new to the channel, and if you don't know me, I make EV news videos, and I try to make them every day, but this past week has been really busy and really stressful, and really like real life stressful, not pretend stressful. So I apologise for the people, to the people that pay on YouTube memberships and Patreon, because I feel a bit bad about that. I want to be an everyday video maker because I love what I do on the channel, and I love making the videos and doing the research and editing the videos and all that sort of stuff. I love talking about the latest goings on. It makes me sort of up to date with stuff, which is a brilliant thing. I'm going to do a Christmas Q&A answering any question. So if you want to leave a question below, anything at all, doesn't matter if it's a bit rude or anything, I'll answer it in the next few days for you. Unless it's really rude, then I won't answer that. But yeah, leave your comments below. Any thoughts or any opinions, use the space to voice your opinions on the car. And yeah, who uses a Xiaomi phone here? Because I actually looked. A lot of the world actually do use Android phones, and Xiaomi, I think, is the third largest phone manufacturer, I think, because I think they might own Oppo and another company and Xiaomi. I use Xiaomi. I've had my phone, this particular phone before the other Xiaomi. I've had this for 3 years. Every day, I charge it. Battery still works perfectly fine. Charges really, really quickly, and no issues at all. So, I would definitely recommend a Xiaomi. I do know they've gotten more expensive though. If you get the latest ones, they seem to have gone up 30-40% in price or something silly. But you can still get a 1 or 2 year old version. So like I don't know, Xiaomi Mi 11T Pro for something like 400 or 500 euro, and it's a brilliant phone. 120 watt charging, charges from dead to full in like 19 minutes or something. So really, really good. And that doesn't destroy the battery chemistry, by the way, on these phones. I've already checked, and mine is quite quick as it is. So yeah, thanks for watching.